So last night was Biden's 2023 State of the Union address, and it was pretty standard, mostly, right? It's mostly the same old, like, America is the greatest country in the history of the world, Jack, and, the State of the Union is strong, and the best days are ahead of us. But there were a few moments where, Biden let the mask slip, the mask of the senile old man, and he showed a little bit of dark Brandon. Just for a second, he let good old Brandon off the leash. He showed that he's still got it. Old Joe has still got it in him. So, yeah, just a few times, like when he was talking about raising taxes on the wealthiest Americans, he says, I'm a capitalist, but. I'm a capitalist, but the wealthy's got to pay their fair share. Now, rarely in a speech, let alone a State of the Union address, do they talk about, does a president talk about capitalism versus socialism. He doesn't use the S word, of course. Of course he's saying it because, any suggestion of raising taxes invites accusations of being a socialist or a commie, like, oh, you want to take away other people's hard-earned money? But, and of course he's getting ahead of that. But it's sort of, you could interpret it as like Pepe posting, like, oh, of course I'm a capitalist. Come on, guys. Everybody knows that I'm the most capitalist president. Hey, come on, Jack. Everybody knows I'm the most capitalist guy I've ever met. I am the most capitalist president you've ever had, believe me. Right. Like, come on. Right, like, it's just funny that he's mentioning capitalism. And then another time, he's talking about veterans, and of course that's how you get the big applause in the State of the Union, or in Congress in general, because everyone, even Democrats, have to at least pretend to support the troops. They got to be totally pro troops at all times. They got to, like, stand up and clap, give a standing ovation for the troops every time they're mentioned. But Biden says nobody deserves to be homeless, especially veterans. He could have said no veteran deserves to be homeless, but he says nobody deserves to be homeless. So, just a little subtle difference in language, but it's a big change. It's a pretty big difference between saying no veteran deserves to be homeless and nobody deserves to be homeless, especially veterans. Right? You would think the statement, nobody deserves to be homeless, is a pretty uncontroversial thing, and it is for, like, probably a majority of Americans, but you'd be surprised at how many conservatives would say that some homeless people deserve to be homeless. I mean, there are some pretty crazy people out there who would say, like, oh, homeless people, they're just lazy. They're not working hard enough. If you want a house, if you're homeless, just buy a house, right? Am I right? If you can't even buy a house, then you must just be too lazy to work a job. But there was the big moments where he got half the chamber to launch into a whole minute of booing. And it's when the GOP, he's calling out the GOP for trying to go after Social Security and Medicare. And Dark Brandon gets ready to turn on the juice.
Instead of making the wealthy pay their fair share, some Republicans
gotta make the wealthy pay their fair share.
Want Medicare and Social Security to sunset. I'm not saying it's a majority.
Look at
Republicans.
Look at McCarthy in the background. McCarthy's having a Joker moment right now. He's gonna be.
Republicans want Medicare and Social Security to sunset. I'm not saying it's a majority.
He's like, come on, Joe.
Let me give anybody who doubts it, contact my office. I'll give you a copy.
Look at MTG. She's shouting. Oh, you heard it there. She's shouting, liar, you liar.
That means Congress doesn't want Medicare and Social Security to sunset. I'm not saying it's a majority.
He's like, I'm not saying it's a majority, but then he gets, then the boos, they overtake him.
Let me give you anybody who doubts it.
And then he tries to fight the boos. Yeah, Dark Brandon isn't gonna be shouted down. Not when he's holding the podium, right?
Contact my office. I'll give you a copy.
He's like, hey, if you got any questions, just contact my office. I'll be happy to educate you, right? Yeah. Wait, is this Newt Gingrich? Why is he there?
I'll give you a copy of the proposal.
Did you hear? Did you hear that? Liar.
Let me give you anybody who doubts it. Contact my office.
Contact my office.
I'll give you a copy of the proposal. That means Congress doesn't vote. Well, I'm glad to see you. She does not look good when she's heckling. Yeah, she looks like a hooting monkey, right? With her lips out like that. I remember in the previous State of the Union, she and Lauren Boebert were best friends. They were best pals. Just they were side by side, just heckling Joe Brandon together. They were tag teaming him. And yeah. So and now it seems like they've sort of separated. They got into like a cat fight, right? They got actually it was the battle over like the Speaker of the House. I heard they got into an actual like shouting match, or even like a physical match inside a bathroom. Yeah, like over who they should vote for Speaker of the House, because you would think MTG would be like the most radical person, but I think she's like her loyalty to Donald Trump overrides her insanity, right? And Donald Trump wanted McCarthy to be Speaker because he knew it looked bad for the Republicans not being able to elect a Speaker, right? Lauren Boebert was on the side of like just burn it all down, right? So they had a falling out, and yeah, they're on different benches. I don't know who these two guys are. So the thing about the State of the Union is that it's a big event, and everyone's got to get their fit. They gotta bring the best fit game, and some are calling this like a Cruella de Vil outfit with the fur, the all white coat with the fur. Last year she had an all red outfit, I believe, right? And that's certainly a look, right? Oh my god, you wait until you see Kirsten Sinema. She looks like a freaking like inflated banana, right? I tell you, I enjoy conversion. You know, it means if
I enjoy conversion. He's saying like, hey, it's great that you're all changing your minds about things. Like, oh, I thought you were all against Social Security and Medicare. You wanted to cut it, but hey, it looks like you all changed your mind, and that's great. Yeah, that's great. He's like, oh, Dark Brandon, so sassy.
If Congress doesn't keep the programs the way they are, they'd go away. Other Republicans say, I'm not saying it's a majority of you. I don't think it's even a significant, but it's being proposed by individuals. I'm not politely not naming them, but it's being proposed by some of you.
I'm not gonna say who, but you know who you are. You're trying to cut Social Security and Medicare. Just, yeah, not naming names, but you know who you are.
Look, folks, the idea is...
Oh man, was that someone else shouting liar? Who are these? Are these like wannabe MTGs? Honestly, they look better. I don't know why I don't see more of them if they're better looking. Oh, and they stole MTG's look from last year. They're in the all red suits. They're like, what are they saying? Like, come on, name some names. Like,
folks, the idea is
liar.
that we're not going to be
We're not going to be moved into being threatened to default on the debt if we don't respond. Folks.
Look at this dude.
Folks.
Look at this dude. He's like... Apparently this guy's like feigning confusion, but he's one of the guys who actually did propose cutting Social Security and Medicare. This is Paul Gosar. Oh, this is Rick San... Did I really just say Rick Sanchez? I mean, Rick Scott. I mean, he could be Rick Sanchez. Who knows? With that look. Oh, wait. That's, can't really see him. This guy right here. So, yeah, these guys are a bunch of pretty extreme guys, so I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah. This is the caucus. The anti-Medicare caucus. Yeah, he's obviously a bad actor. They say that politics is Hollywood for ugly people. Well, it's also politics is Hollywood for people who can't act, right? Who can't. This guy can't act for his life. He's like, what's going on here? What? Well, that's very important. They say, Biden says, we will not be intimidated into acting by being threatened by defaulting on our debt. This whole debt ceiling thing. You know, every once in a while, there's a big crisis about America's debt ceiling, and like, oh, our debt's getting too high. And America's going to default on its debts and like that would destroy the American economy. But all we got to do, raise the debt ceiling. All we got to do is, we can just simply choose to not default on our debts. But it's always made out by Republicans, especially, to be like this big deal, because they're supposed to be the debt hawks, the deficit hawks, right? They're supposed to be like the austerity people who want to rein in spending. Of course, they never want to increase revenue. All they want to do is cut spending.
The idea is that we're not going to be moved into being threatened to default on the debt if we don't respond. Folks,
we're not going to be
we're not going to be moved into being threatened to default on the debt if we don't respond. Folks.
Yeah, they're using the debt ceiling crisis as leverage. Another standing ovation. Yeah, the Republicans use the debt ceiling. They manufacture a crisis with the debt ceiling. Like every time it happens, every time like we're approaching the debt ceiling, they manufacture this crisis just to get everyone to freak out and encourage more austerity measures. But yeah, it's all done for like political gain, just as usual, right?
As we all apparently agree.
I mean, I guess, it is a problem that America has like $20+ trillion in debt now, and it's increasing. But of course, the solution to that is to not just cut spending, but increase revenue, which is never what Republicans want to do. All they want to do is cut spending, and of course we could never cut the military budget. We got to keep increasing the military budget every single year. And where is that money going to? Well, it's either going to secret projects that nobody knows anything about, but to building like F-35s that can't even take off without crashing. Yeah, the F-35 project has taken well over $1 trillion, and they still has not produced a 5th generation fighter. It's either going to that, or it's just going into the money pit that is the Pentagon. The Pentagon has yet to successfully pass an audit. Isn't that right? It hasn't. Every time they try to audit the Pentagon, they're like, we don't know where all this money goes. We just don't know. It's either just blatantly corrupt, right? It's just going into the pockets of whoever's around, whoever is in the right place at the right time, whoever gets the contract, right? I mean, they cook all the books and sort of hide where the money's going. Of course, there are some like secret projects that people are working on, that the government's working on. There's all sorts of like secret tech. They're like reverse engineering alien spacecraft or whatever. They're working on some secret project to you know, some brand new satellite that can you know, snipe people from orbit. They can just do an EMP and just turn off your brain or something. But, you know, there's no way we can cut funding for that. We have to spend $800 billion a year on God knows what. But what we can't do is take care of elderly people, right? No way. And of course, there's no way we could raise taxes on the wealthiest people. No, there's no way. Elon Musk deserves to be like a multi-billionaire. He deserves that $500 billion he's worth, or I think it's less than that now. I think it's like $200 billion or so. I mean, if he wants to lose money, like buying Twitter or doing whatever with Twitter, do that. I mean, Elon Musk is better proof than anyone that wealthy people do not deserve to be wealthy. They do not deserve all that wealth, because what are they doing with it? They're buying Twitter. They're buying, there's like, they're setting up companies that would not be profitable without government subsidies. Or as you saw with like Jeff Bezos, he's taking joyrides into space instead of like, I don't know, paying his workers some fair wages, right? Yeah, there's no way we could fund Social Security and Medicare by, you know, taking Bezos's toy rockets away. Yeah, while the wealthy elite are taking joyrides into space just for fun, I guess. It's literally like, oh my god, I couldn't stand watching Jeff Bezos do his joyride into space. He's not even enjoying. I mean, he's enjoying it, but like not for the right reasons. Okay, he's just like, whoa, we're floating, holy shit. But yeah, anyways.
Social Security and Medicare is off the books now, right? They're not to be stopped?
Yes.
All right.
All right.
I'm ready.
All right.
We got unanimity.
We got unanimity now. Yeah, so he got all the Republicans to admit that they would not be for cutting Social Security and Medicare. Of course, Republicans lie all the time, right? They lie about everything all the time. They lied about not wanting to overturn Roe v. Wade, and then they all celebrated when it happens. But here we have the House of Dark Brandon has the receipts. Senator Rick Scott introduced a plan that would sunset Social Security and Medicare every 5 years unless Congress votes them back into existence. Yeah, this is a tactic. They're like, oh, of course we would. We just have to like negotiate different terms for Social Security and Medicare every 5 years. Of course we would vote to. Of course we would vote them into existence. Of course, but we should have the vote, right? Yeah, this is a common tactic. It's like, oh, we don't want to cut it, but we will. We're going to talk about it, right? We're going to talk about it. And Senator Ron Johnson thinks 5 years is too long to wait. He wants to put the funding for Social Security and Medicare on the chopping block every single year. Every single year. They want to at least talk about reducing funding every single year. So yeah, that's now of course they're just saying like, oh, we're going to vote on it. We're just gonna like negotiate different terms, but we all know what that's code for. Senator Lindsey Graham suggested raising the age for Social Security and cutting benefits for seniors while making them pay more. Senator Mike Lee stated it is his objective to phase out Social Security to pull it up by the roots and get rid of it. The House many members, including those who chair committees, have proposed cuts to Medicare and Social Security in exchange for preventing a default on our debts. Yeah, so this is what Biden was talking about by being threatened, right, by the Republicans on a debt default. Of course, America defaulting on its debt would just destroy the American economy as we know it, right? Yeah, it was a bad idea to make a button called "Destroy American Economy, Do Not Push" and just put it in on the House Speaker's desk, right? Like, why does that exist? We probably shouldn't just have that, right? Yeah, the debt ceiling is just totally arbitrary, right? America, like, we are the world's reserve currency, so it doesn't make sense for us to default on our debts, right? Republican Study Committee released a budget that calls for privatizing Social Security and raising the eligibility ages for Social Security and Medicare. Yeah, privatizing Social Security means, like, you know, cutting it and squeezing it for all the money that it's worth. If Republicans in Congress don't want to cut Social Security and Medicare, they should propose a budget that reflects it. So then all they've got is their record. Yes. You can never trust a politician, especially a Republican. I don't trust Democrats either, of course. But especially Republicans, they will lie, steal, and cheat at every turn, right? And Republicans know that their positions are unpopular, which is why they feel the need to lie about it, right? It's why they feel the need to, like, no, of course we don't want to cut Social Security and Medicare. Because, like, if they admitted it, if they said it out loud, right? They're saying it quietly. There's just like slipping it in there whenever they have to say it out loud, right? But they know that the public at large, if they got a hold of it, they would not be for that. Yeah, the masses, the great uninformed masses, they're kind of dumb, you know. The average political agent in America is not that bright, but they know, they're smart enough to know at least that that cutting Social Security and Medicare is a bad thing, right? Yeah, it's like a lot of Republican positions. They feel the need to, like, hide their true position on it, because if it was revealed, if their true self was revealed, then they will look very bad. Of course, like, the way that American politics is set up, like Republicans naturally represent like a minority of the total population, right? So that's why it's within their interest to keep, like, the public at large ignorant and dumb and, like, focused on bread and circuses, silly, like, culture war issues, right? Yeah, surprisingly, Joe Rogan had a surprisingly good take on this, where it's like, after the overturning of Roe v. Wade, he was like, it kind of seems like they're trying to divide us, like, they're trying to invent, like, these culture war issues and just divide us and, like, get us arguing about, like, these like, I mean, the abortion rights aren't, like, insignificant, but, like, the big issue is like the elites who control the economy and, like, hit Americans against each other. So they're too busy fighting each other to fight the real enemy, which is themselves. Let's finish the job. Yep. Dark Brandon is here to finish the job that he started. Yeah, so a lot of people are saying that, like, I mean, of course, lefties are going to criticize Biden all the time, say, like, he's not good enough. Nobody's good enough unless they're a socialist. And of course, not even AOC is good enough, right? Because she's not totally, like, on board with Medicare for all or whatever. You know, I think, like, AOC has become more politically savvy in the years in which she has been an active politician, right? She's gotten a little smarter. She's realized that, like, oh, you can't get everything done, right? You can't get everything you want done. You gotta be a little conservative, at least with your political capital, right? Oh, Brandon is rising again. Ooh, Dark Brandon is a Scorpio, huh?
Year. Now some
Republicans who want to repeal lower costs. Lots of luck in your senior year. Yeah, that's a good line.
The Inflation Reduction Act.
Going to repeal the IRA. Yeah, you ain't repealing the IRA, Jack.
To say, lots of luck in your senior year.
Oh, they mean. I think he means, like, good luck getting reelected, rather than literally when you're a senior, you're gonna have harder times paying for your Social Security and what. Of course, a lot of politicians get health care for life. Of course, if they serve long enough, right? Which means that George Santos probably is not going. Both Ron Johnson and Rick Scott have proposed to sunset Medicare and Social Security. Yeah, Rick Scott was the guy I was talking about before. Of course, I knew it. Lying Biden note. MAGA GOP called out and busted. Oh, Senator, hang on. It's not a Democratic talking point, it's in the plan. Even Fox News' John Roberts can't believe it when Rick Scott lies about his own policy plan, which calls for a tax increase on the majority of Americans.
And also in the plan,
two of the big points of which are, quote, all Americans should pay some income tax to have skin in the game.
Even if a small amount.
Currently, over half of Americans pay no income tax.
Based. I mean, isn't that what they want, right? They don't want people paying income taxes. It's literally stealing your hard-earned money, right? Yeah, so yeah, what skin in the game? You mean paying into Social Security? They're saying, like, if you don't pay into Social Security, then you shouldn't benefit from it. Well, yeah, this is like this hyper-individualist kind of thinking that is destroying America, right? We're all in this together. We got to take care of each other, right?
It also says all federal legislation sunsets in 5 years. If a law is worth keeping, Congress can pass it again.
Wait, all federal legislation? Not just Social Security and Medicare, but, like, all laws, like, every 5 years, like, we gotta vote on it again? Can you imagine, like how much work that would be? Like, oh my god. It's like Congress can't get anything done as it is, but, like, adding that, like, you gotta vote for a law again, like, on top of the workload they already have. Like, you're adding all of this. Like, if a law is worth keeping, Congress can pass it again. Like, but, like, why are you voting on it, right? Like, if you want to repeal a law, you can repeal a law, right? You don't have to, like, you don't have to have a set date where it's like, okay guys, do we want to keep the law banning murder or whatever? It's like, I guess so. Maybe it would be good to, like, see who would vote against certain laws, right? Because there are some laws that I'd imagine everyone would want to keep. Also, all federal, like, all, as in, like, every single law. Like there are huge like bills that are passed with like a bunch of stuff in it. I'd imagine like if you want to repeal something, you could like, if you want to repeal a part of one bill, you could like introduce another bill, right? But yeah, this is just dumb.
So that would raise taxes on half of Americans and potentially sunset programs like Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. Why would you propose something like that in an election year?
It's an election year.
Well, John, that's of course the Democrat talking points. It's a
No,
it's
in the plan.
In the plan.
It's in the plan.
But here's let's think about reality for a second. First of all, let's talk about Medicare.
Senator, hang on.
John.
So it's not a Democratic talking point. It's in the plan.
And also in the plan, it says we ought to every year talk about exactly how we're going to fix Medicare and Social Security.
Okay, so they're talking about fixing Medicare and Social Security, but of course the implication there is like, oh, it can't be fixed, so we're gonna have to make some cuts, right? Or like the only way to fix it is by you know, cutting back on it a little bit, just because like there's not enough funding. Of course, there can be enough funding, but they just don't want to find the funding, right? They just don't want to fund it. That's the thing. Kind of like you know, they want kind of like what was that thing? All right, it's kind of like how they ran Obamacare into the ground, right? They were like they didn't want Obamacare to succeed, so they just cut it in every way that they could. They got rid of the individual mandates, which might have been a good thing, but like they made Obamacare as bad as they could, so they can justify like repealing it or like doing whatever they wanted with it, right? They wanted to. Right. Rick Scott is Dr. Doom, or that's not Dr. Doom, that's Skeletor. Yeah. No, he's more like a snake guy. More like he's a very slippery snake, isn't he? Of course, he is some kind of lizard because of his like bald head. Yep, Dark Brandon. Senator for 36 years, vice president for 8 years. Oh. I mean, Trump did do a lot of bad stuff. Anyways.